You know, the last 10 years of your life are coming, whether you like it or not, because nobody gets out of here alive. So the question you should ask yourself is, how do you want to be able to spend those last 10 years? Do you want to spend them like this? Or would you rather spend them like this? So in this video, we're going to show you a 6-part daily routine that isn't going to take more than a half an hour out of your day. It's not going to cost you anything except that little tiny bit of time, and that tiny bit of time is going to make the rest of your time way more enjoyable. So stick around and let's get started. So first I want to talk about the things that go wrong that actually prevent us from leading a healthy, fit, active lifestyle in our last 10 years of our life. We lose some things as we get older, and the sad part is most of the things that we lose, we don't have to lose anywhere near as fast as the vast majority of people do lose them. And all you have to do is take a look around at any place there's a gathering of people. Go to a mall, go to a beach, go to a sporting event. Any place you look around, you're going to see that the numbers bear out that over 70% of us are morbidly obese or certainly overweight. And you can just look at the skin and the faces of people and see the level of disease or the unhealthiness that's prevalent in our country, in the world. So the things that we lose are, we lose balance, we lose flexibility, we lose muscle mass, we lose cardiovascular fitness, and we get fat. Those are all the things that really contribute to being in a condition where we cannot enjoy our life physically because our bodies just won't allow it. And in some cases, it's bad enough our minds won't allow it as well because we've gotten so bad, in such bad condition. So let's just look at 6 things that will counteract some of those things that we lose, some of those bad actors, and that will improve your quality of life in your last decade. Okay, so 4 of these 6 steps can be incorporated into a morning routine. Now, I don't want you to get all hung up on when you do this. It's more important that you do it than when. But one of the beautiful things about doing it in the morning is that your morning, from the moment you wake up, is kind of dead time for a little while for most people anyway. And it's time, if it takes you half an hour to do all of these things, most of that can be done first thing in the morning. And that does a couple of things. One, it makes you feel great for the rest of the day. And number 2, it starts off your day with you doing something positive towards improving your health and fitness, and starts you down a path of making health and fitness one of your daily habits. First step, when you first wake up, of course most of us need to go use the restroom, so go do that so that you're comfortable, and then come back, crawl back under the blanket for a minute, and practice a breathing routine. There's a really good one that's on YouTube that's by a guy named Wim Hof. If you haven't ever heard of him, look him up. It's Wim, W-I-M, Hof, H-O-F. I'll put a link in the description below. There's a real good follow along one that you can just simply, if you have your phone by your bed, you can just hit the play and follow along. It's very, very simple. But basically what we're doing is we're taking 3 rounds of 30 deep breaths with a breath hold at the end to accomplish putting more oxygen into your system. It actually makes your blood a little bit alkaline, has a lot of positive benefits, an interesting feeling, and it makes you feel good. But it's basically just taking 30 obnoxiously deep breaths like this. And it's not something you can do when you're driving or anything else, because you do get lightheaded. So it's nice to do it when you're still laying in bed, you're nice and cozy in there, and you can focus on the breathing and focus on what it's doing and the feeling of how it's impacting your body. So breath work first. Second thing, and this could be the first thing as well, drink some water. Keep a bottle of water on your nightstand. When you get up in the morning, just an 8-ounce bottle of water. First thing out of the day, it's going to get your body hydrated. And you know, when you've been sleeping all night and now you've just used the restroom, your body needs some hydration. So drink a bottle of water first thing in the morning. That'll help get you started as well. Number 3 is going to be stretching. And I think that we can incorporate balance into the stretching, or we can incorporate balance into the workout, but those are things that we lose. Both of those things are important things that we lose. So let's take a look at just some simple stretches that you can do first thing in the morning before you ever even leave your bedroom. The reason we need to stretch is because we do lose mobility, we do lose flexibility in some of our muscles, not all of them. So most of us typically, we don't have any problem moving our arms forward like this because we do it all the time. But if you have to move your arm backwards to a point beyond your shoulder, beyond parallel with your chest and shoulders, a lot of us will be very stiff here and can't move back. So basically stretching, just think of stretching in terms of moving your body in a direction that it doesn't normally move, but that it's physically capable of moving without breaking anything. So one of the places we tend to stiffen up most is in our hamstrings and our calves. So a real simple stretch that we can do for that is to just drop down into almost a kind of a squat and then raise up your butt. Then go back down into that squat and raise up your butt again. And as you do this a few times, use your hands eventually to pull your body down further, and eventually you'll be able to pull yourself in and really get a stretch out of your hamstrings and your calves. And each time you stretch, hold it for about a 10 count, and then the next time you'll be able to go just a little bit farther. That's one simple stretch. That's one of the places we typically get very stiff. And our shoulders are another place that tends to stiffen up. So one good way to do what I was just showing earlier was to stretch out your shoulders beyond where they are used to going, is just to find a wall, a bookcase, whatever you can, and rotate yourself, grab a hold of it and put your arm out straight and just rotate yourself to a point where you're feeling the stretch, but you're not breaking anything. So those are simple stretches. We could do a ton of different stretches to show you different stretches. Another one's for your quadriceps. These don't tend to get as stiff, but your knees do. And so you can hold, again, lean against the wall for stability, or if you're working on your balance, you can just stand free and pull your heel towards your butt, and it will bend your knees in an angle that will tend to stretch them out and also stretch your quadriceps. Another place we tend to get very stiff is in our hips. So one way you can open up your hips and stretch out the muscles not only in your hips but in your inner thighs is to take a position like this, put your knees out and just push down with your body this way to try to spread your knees out further. So a very simple position to take, and it will help open up those hips. The other thing I'd like to say about stretching is that when you're done with stretching, it should feel good. I mean, you shouldn't be in pain and misery. You should feel good. You should feel a little more flexible, a little more mobile, and so focus on that while you're doing your stretching. So now let's talk about exercise. One of the things we lose is muscle mass. So in order to prevent that from happening, you need to do resistance exercise. Exercise that pushes your muscles to do something that they're not accustomed to. If you're working out with weights, that means adding progressively heavier weights to a point to where you're pushing yourself to at or near failure to complete another rep. It's not a requirement that you work out with weights because your body can serve as a weight. What's important is that you accomplish progressive overload, progressive resistance in whatever you're doing for a workout. So if you're just going to do it in the morning, first thing, depending on your current level of fitness, you might be at a point where maybe you can only do 2 push-ups or 5 push-ups or 10 push-ups. But if you just commit to doing 10 push-ups and then maybe 10 squats a day and start to build on that as you're capable of doing more, you're going to make, that's one way to progressively overload your muscles. There's some other simple things you can do that kind of incorporate basic movement, functional movement, and maybe are even better things you can do. Like let me give you an example. Here's movement that you can do that incorporates functional movement along with resistance exercise. And it's very simple, and you can do it in your own bedroom. Go down into the squat position, walk yourself out on your hands, do a push-up, and then walk yourself back, and then stand up from your squat. That one simple movement incorporates most of your body, and if you do that 20 times in a row, 10 times in a row, maybe only 3 times in a row, whatever your level of fitness, your current level of fitness is, it's going to push your body and it's going to help you get in shape. The next thing we have to talk about is diet. And that doesn't mean diet, starvation diet, you're going to starve off the fat. But the fact of the matter is that over 70% of the population is morbidly obese or overweight. So most of us aren't getting it right, obviously. Well, let me boil this down to its simplest terms, and I'm sure you've heard this advice a million times before, but the further we get away from nature, the more unhealthy our diet becomes. So if we restrict our diets to unprocessed foods, just the basic meat and vegetables, you're going to be way better off than if you start adding in all the stuff that's in the middle of the grocery store. And one of my favorite pet peeves is bread. You know, the food pyramid shows that we should be eating a lot of grain and that kind of product, but in all reality, that's exactly the opposite of what we should be doing, in my own opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of other people way smarter than me. The problem with things like bread is that it's highly processed and it's got a high glycemic index. It's gonna have a reaction in your body just about like sugar. Your body's gonna have an insulin spike, which is gonna prevent you from using fat for energy, and so the cycle will go on. You'll continue just to deposit more fat. So, and the problem with bread is that it's so prevalent. You know, we have breakfast is eggs and toast, lunch is a sandwich, dinner is gonna be pasta and garlic bread. You know, all of that bread going into your diet is probably one of the biggest killers that there is. So if you can eliminate just that one thing, you're going to be miles ahead of most people. But if you take a step further and make sure that you're sticking to high protein and complex carbohydrates, particularly cruciferous vegetables, things that have some fiber in them, your gut health is going to be better. And the high protein is what you need anyway to support your muscle growth, which you're trying to do to combat the ravages of sarcopenia and the aging, muscle wasting problems that we have. So once again, eat a diet that is primarily unprocessed foods. If you're vegetarian, find a way to get enough complete protein in your diet to support your muscle growth, your muscle mass. And if you're not, then meat's the answer. Meat and just nice fresh vegetables. The final step in our process is sleep. You've got to get enough sleep. Your body recovers when you're sleeping, your muscles grow when you're sleeping, and sleep helps keep your sanity. So make sure you're getting good quality sleep. You know, a good round number is 8 hours of good quality sleep. So if you're having trouble sleeping at night, try not eating for the last couple of hours before you go to bed, and try backing away from some of the electronic devices. Maybe read a book, maybe listen to a podcast, do something that relaxes your mind, relaxes your brain, doesn't require a lot of extra activity, and get a good night's sleep. You'll wake up refreshed and wake up way more prepared to take on your day. When you look at how children move when they're playing, it's astonishing how easy they're able to perform all these different movements, all these natural movements that require flexibility, balance, and strength. They have one thing going for them. They're small, and so their center of gravity is lower, so their balance is probably a little less of a factor, and their weight is less, so strength becomes a difference. But regardless of all that, you know what I'm talking about. If you compare how a person who's 5 to 10 years old, how they move when they're playing, versus a person who's 60 plus moves, typically you can see a vast difference in not only how they move, but what they're even potentially capable of doing. If you want to enjoy the last 10 years of your life having the ability to participate in just about any activity that you want at a level that is closer to when you were 20 than what you typically see in a typical 80, 90-year-old, then it's important that you take care of your health. It's important. And even if you're already in your 50s or 60s, you can still reverse a lot of the damage that you've done by simply getting started. the time's going to pass regardless. And those 10 years, those last 10 years are going to get closer the worse health you let yourself remain in. So as you improve your health, you'll be pushing those 10 years out further. And like I said before, nobody gets out of here alive, but how do you want to spend your last 10 years? You know, knowledge is power, but it's only power if it's followed with action. So hopefully you'll take this advice and you'll take action and improve your health and get yourself in a condition that not only pushes that last 10 years out further, but makes that last 10 years a much more enjoyable time for you and your loved ones. If you got value from this video, please subscribe, please share it with someone, and once again, thanks for watching.